then yeah, they're born with a good advantage right there. But that doesn't mean they're going to be as productive in society as somebody else that is born at the starting line. And they can actually grow more wealthier than that person.
Well, of course it does. It creates huge changes, and there's every incentive for somebody who has a free ride to just ride, okay? There's no incentive for them to go to work 8 hours a day, and especially hard work. I mean, most real productive work is hard work. You have to throw your body into it, or you have to throw your mental health into it. It's not easy work, it's hard work, all right? And the wealthy aren't going to have much incentive to do hard, productive work.
So that's your idea, that's your philosophy. If you want to pursue that, maybe try and get that passed in legislation, go for it. But the majority of people will totally fucking disagree with you, because it's just totally against any sort of psychological intelligence to rip wealth from people simply because they die. It should be passed on. That's what I think. And you can disagree with me on that.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to disagree with you on that. Majority is no standard. What people believe in isn't the standard. We're having a conversation about what's rational, okay? What's logical? What is consistent with Adam Smith economic theory, all right? And the idea of a legacy is not consistent with that theory. It destroys free markets. Now they are contrived, they are manipulated markets, they are emperor's markets. They are not a free market anymore. It's a noble system then. It's not a free market. So it's just bullshit, okay? You still haven't defended the cheat. It's a huge, giant cheat, period. That's all it is. It's a cheat. And you're endorsing it, and the fact that the public goes for it is only evidence of their selfishness. All they have to do is commit to the principle that it's wrong in principle, and eventually that could happen. I mean, it also depends on how many people are voting who have kids and people who don't have kids. That's going to change how people look at things, how they look at the world quite substantially. But the fact that people act out of self-motivation rather than rationality is a given in this fucking world, but it isn't an excuse for anything. It doesn't make your argument win. It just demonstrates how cheap and idiotic your intelligence is, that you won't come back with some real argument. Instead, you use this bogus argument, well, the morons aren't going to vote for it. That's not an argument that means anything.
Fine. You can construct a logical argument for that, and I can see that. I just don't agree with you on that. So.
Yeah, you can't put those two things together and then come up with nothing. You can't say you can come up with a logical argument for that, but I don't agree with it. All right? You have to point out how it's not logical then. Okay? If you're going to say you don't agree with it, then you're just saying, but I'm not logical. And therefore I don't agree with it. That's what you just said to me, okay? That you don't care to be logical because you haven't logically defended how inheritance, legacy wealth does anything but create a crooked, unfair market, not a free market.
Just because you have the wealth means you have the control of the economy. I mean, most rich people...
Oh, man. Jesus. What planet do you live on? I mean, really, what planet do you live on? I mean, it's the stupidest thing. But how could you possibly even say that? Wealth is control of the system, okay? When you have 1% of the people have as much wealth as the bottom 90%, they have control over the economic system, okay? Especially when it's surplus. It's not wealth they're living in or dependent on or already using in some way. It's capital wealth. Okay, and that they make the decisions. They have complete discretion, and they get to determine what's going to get invested in this world. All right, that's control. They're deciding whether we'll chase the lowest common denominator. They're making that decision. They're the ones deciding that, okay, we'll take a chance and give the employees asbestosis. We'll take another chance and maybe the car will blow up or the battery will catch fire. We'll take another chance. They're deciding what corners are going to get fucking cut.
People, they don't have the huge control over the economy. They have wealth, they can influence the economy, but they don't have a huge control over it. It's not like they're going to dictate eradicate everybody, and just because they have wealth means that nobody else can succeed. They're gonna hold everybody back. They're gonna control what's made and all this shit. It's just your logic is flawed there.
No, your logic is flawed, okay? If you're a huge corporation with a huge, giant pile of money, you're going to be able to control the market, okay? You're going to be able to bribe the stores into putting your product in front of on the first shelf. You're going to be able to kill your competitors, okay? It's happened tons and tons of times in real history, okay? Good products are destroyed by unfair competitive practices done by companies that have acquired money and the power to control what goes on, and that money is in the hands of rich people.
You have an argument there. I mean, try to get the majority to agree with you there, and I'm all for it. If everyone agrees that's the way we should do things, we should take wealth from the people that earned it during their lives and not give it to their kids. If that's what you want to do, you're welcome. If we're in a free society, you can go try and get that to happen. I just think you're going to fail miserably with that idea.
Yeah, and that's useless commentary. Where's your logic there? There's none. There's no defense of any other premise as being logical or reasonable. So you haven't made an argument. You're just sitting here saying, well, the people won't vote for it, so, you've got to be wrong. So if the majority of people believe in God, God must exist. That's the extent of your capacity to provide a logical argument. Fuck that.
That money does get put in the economy. Typically, if you have a huge wealth, you don't keep that all in currency under your bed. You invest that in bonds, typically, to earn inflation, or a little bit more than inflation, so at least you're not worse off tomorrow. And they also invest in businesses on the side, whatever, but then most of the money is put into bonds or stocks or mutual funds, and then this money is circulated throughout the whole economy, and it's used to help the economy.
No, it's used to help them. It's used to glean profit. So they will invest in businesses that take the highest risks, that will exploit people the worst, that will more likely to create train wrecks that the public have to pay for. That's all they do with that capital. And it would be much more efficient just to make the money more valuable. Burn the damn assets, make the dollars in every working man's pocket more valuable, give the money back to the people who gave it value in the first place.
When you say that, people build up their own jets, their own big fancy cars, they hire people to make those, they hire people to make their big mansions, they hire people to come in and do stupid things like clean up their gold-plated toilets and shit like that. I mean, you're right, that is waste when you look at it on the grand scheme of things. How does that benefit everybody? It doesn't benefit the whole society.
Yeah, see, that's the bottom line, though. That, it is the whole scheme of things. That's the only fucking perspective to have. No other perspective means anything, okay? It's the overall system that we're evaluating, all right? What goes into it, what feeds it, how much gas or fuel you have to put into it, what expenses it has, and what its output is, all right? It's a simple equation to say, yes, you have this whole class of people who have become incredibly unproductive, okay? And there's no reason to create that class. There's no... It is a creation. It isn't something hard to get rid of like poverty. It is something we're creating on purpose for no good fucking reason whatsoever. There's no advantage to the economic system in having any legacy advantages. By creating legacy advantages, it's just completely fucktarded. Okay? It makes sense for an individual to be selfish. It makes no sense, all right, for the system to embrace individual selfishness, okay? Not in that sense, not in the sense where you say, I'm going to compromise the functionality of the overall system for my personal gain, so I can love on my kids in this money way, okay? So I can give my kids a cheat, so I can give them a false fake advantage in the race of life. All right, there's no reason for the system to endorse that because the system gains nothing from it. It destroys the system, it corrupts the system, it breaks the system.
It benefits that individual. Again, getting back to the fact that individual greed, individual want helps the whole society, and that's the whole basis behind capitalism.
Like I said, I'd agree, but that your capitalism is broken by creating a fake, by installing these fake protections, okay? This fake protection of protecting the legacy. If we went back 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, you're damn straight the family was held responsible for the liabilities, okay? If I fuck somebody over and, I didn't pay my debts, okay, they'd go after my kids, they'd go after my uncle, they'd go after my brother, okay? They would glean back they would get their accountability. They wouldn't accept being fucked.
America to be the greatest country in the world. And I mean, all the rich people in the past have excessively spent money on things that we would view as wasteful. But it helped them. That was their encouragement to do what they did, to produce what they did. So I mean, you have a point there. It doesn't help society, and it's up to that person to think, well, am I really helping society by doing this? You know, should I be more utilitarian with my money? I mean, am I really, should I really just pay this guy a good wage to do it, or should I maybe put that money into something else? And that comes down to a personal question. But if he has the money to do it, so
it's not a personal question. We're talking economic theory, and what we're arguing is, our noblemen, our legacy status, is it healthy for an economy? Is it healthy for an economic system? Does it do any good for the system to create legacy?
He wants to do it. He creates a market to come in this gold-plated toilet, whatever you want to call it. I think it should happen. Because he's earned that right.
Well, that's a classic remark. He's earned that right. So if you inherit the money, you earn the money. That's what you just said. You just said that. You just said that. I mean, how can you possibly justify that? He earned it. How do you justify acquiring an inheritance earning? How can you use that fucking word? How can you slander the word earned by applying it to somebody who's a beneficiary of inheritance?